Hello, it is the 17th of October, 2012. Before we get into today's action, I want to go over a chart that I'm going to be following for the rest of the year into 2013, as I'm going to be looking for a breakout above this range and a solid bull market to encounter, or even that, I guess, of a breakdown below. This chart is only the last 2 hours of silver on Greenwich time, 2200 and 2300 hour time frames. It's a 5-hour chart, which means it takes 22 hours, 23, then the next day it does 2, then it does 22, and that's a period. And then it does this one, the next 2 days, that's a period. So 5 individual hours, but only counting the hours from 2200 and 2300. This chart, I'm going to start early September. Like September, well, I got September 15th on the lower part, and I started at 100. Therefore, this tells you how much these hours are up or down since this point. And as of October the 15th, it was down 38 cents or 0.38%. It's actually, just going the last couple of days, it's actually back up here now. So it's actually bounced from this point. But I don't expect you to understand this too much yet, but you will later on if you keep following these videos, especially later this week, because I'm going to be following more on this, because this indicator, I believe, is huge to determine when silver is about to rise large to the upside. Again, stay tuned for more details later on. Now, what I'm going to do later on, of course, is show how silver does from 2200 and 2300 hours going back to 2004. Only a 2-hour time gap. Then I'll show the 22-hour time gap from the same time. So let's look back at 2004 for now. So we'll look at this either later today or Thursday or Friday. How about that? Okay, now this is 2004's chart for the year, which I think is worth showing for today, actually. So let's show it. What we have is we have a day where, or a year, which encountered the selling. Pretty decent sized moves when you consider going from 844 to 543 in a very short period of time. That's basically $3 off, or over that of 30%. As far as fib retracement played out, you had nice stabilization, you found support, you had your bear trap down below, find resistance, and then you make it up here. But here's the big kicker. You would have expected support to have been found there. But it didn't occur. No. Instead, you notice that the candle after the breakdown, you found resistance at this level, continued going close to this low, but not quite. And it's really not even much of a pierce, so to me, it's not going to this level. You go up here, you make your lower high, and you notice you have this decent-sized red candle. What is this telling us? Well, it's telling me that there's a great shot that this level here would be being hit. So the risk, well, your price at the time was 677, looking for 643, you're basically going to try to get 34 cents. Your stop would have to be above this line. So if you're risking a reward for 43, that means 713 minus 677 is 36 cents, plus has to be a bit above it. So you need to be right like over 70% of the time in this situation to call yourself a good trader. Let's take a look at how 2005 fared out. You can get this data on the directory image I show you in the directory where it says data. Here's that 643 that occurred at the start of 2005. 1,800 hours in, or basically after one full day, you would have hit your target. Now, of course, you can see that it bounced lower, stabilized around that area, but it was, of course, that winning play. Now let's take a look at what we got today. And we have the daily chart. Yesterday I was saying, don't know yet if this is going to be resistance or support, and the same is true today. What I know more from yesterday is the volatility is really becoming micro, which I guess is very common when you're in these indecisive kind of situations. If I start to see this thing really breaking down below 32.20-ish or so, 32 and a third, then I'm going to be really liking the odds that we at least have a test of the 31.5 level. And I already like the odds that this level is going to be decent support, but we'll wait and see how this reacts. Now, if this level is support, then we really don't break down too much below this, and we'd have to wait for this 18 average to first flatten out and then start to go higher and create any breaks of key resistance. Now, the key resistance right now is this, but it could even be a lower level. 4, maybe this level will be a key resistance level as we maybe test this area, and then as we find a nice little pattern breaking it, well, then the bullish side will be looking where it's going to be going on the short term. Now, I already have confirmation long term that we have a currency that is backed by absolute nothing, that common sense would say is a very evil and criminal act to force people into a system guaranteed to have debt because only central banks monopolize their currency system. So because of that confirmation, I feel very comfortable personally investing in such things like physical silver in the exchange of those paper rectangles as well as digital numbers. So that will be it for today. Again, either later today or later this week, I'm going to be talking about these 2-hour time frames, both 2200 and 2300 Greenwich time, and the other 22 hours. So stay tuned for that and have yourself a magnificent day. Bye-bye.